Hi, welcome to Movie Review Mom. I'm the mom and I do the movie reviews. And if this is your very first time visiting my channel, yay, you're here. I'm so glad. Be sure and subscribe and click on that little bell and it'll notify you every time I upload a new movie review or trailer reaction so that you can be in the scoop. My goal is to always give the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so that families can make the best decision as to whether or not they want to spend their time and money watching a specific film. So that specific film I'm talking about today is Peter Rabbit 2. The movie is available in theaters May 14th, 2021, and select theaters, I should say, because we are still in the thick of COVID and not all theaters are open and not everybody feels comfortable, honestly, going into theaters. So I don't have a streaming video on demand release date or even location yet. And hopefully it won't take too long to hop over to our various streaming devices. So this movie is rated PG and it's an hour and 33 minutes. I'm going to give you a movie review mom grade at the end of my review. But first I'll give you an overview in a nutshell. I'll point out things I liked and didn't like. I'll offer some tips for you parents and even point out some themes that are worth talking about and give you some recommendations for other movies that I think you'll also enjoy, especially if you like this one. All right, so let's dive in. In a nutshell, I loved this Sony sequel so much better than the very first Peter Rabbit in the franchise. And I enjoyed that one. This one is a family-friendly comedy directed by Will Gluck, and it's based on the lovely books by Beatrix Potter. While Potter purists might feel frustrated that the film definitely ventures far from the source material, modern day kids will really be entertained completely by the bunny hijinks and charm in this movie. There's plenty of action, sweet moments, comedy, great animation, and colorful backdrops to keep everyone engaged, I thought. So let me tell you about some of the things I really liked about the movie. First of all, the animation is fantastic. We're so spoiled with animation, and I've always loved live action mixed with animation, which is what this movie blends. There's wonderful detail with impressive movements and facial expressions on all of the animals. I love the contrast between the hopping rabbits and the moments when the bunnies kind of walk like humans, and they're wearing clothes and acting like humans. And I just thought that that was so adorable, which of course they had in the first movie. There's so much humor, both spoken and visual, that I laughed out loud quite a bit just while watching this movie. Golden Globe nominated James Corden's voice talent is spot on. This is the third time that he's actually shared his voice in a Sony Pictures animation after the Emoji Movie, wah wah, and the very first Peter Rabbit. Yay! I adore Domhnall Gleeson in any movie that he's in. And so I was really looking forward to seeing him again. He really adds such a spark to both of those movies, the first and the second, Peter Rabbit. He and Peter Rabbit really are the true heart of this film. Their complicated relationship perfectly represents so many blended families today, I think. And so a lot of people will really be able to relate to these relationships. I think David Oyelowo is such an incredible actor that I was kind of surprised to see him in this goofy family movie, but I'm always happy to watch him work his magic. I'm used to seeing him in dramatic roles and Academy Award winning dramatic roles. So this role is very different than how we're used to seeing him. But of course, he did a really good job. The rest of the voice talent comes from equally talented actors, including Elizabeth Debicki, Lenny James, Margot Robbie, Colin Moody, Ewan Leslie, Robert Degas, Amy Horn, Damon Harriman, and so many more. I always laugh at slow motion sequences, and there are quite a few in this movie. There's also a new cast of characters, both human and animated, several of who were never in any Beatrix Potter books. So that's why I'm mentioning the Beatrix Potter purists might say, hey, where'd those characters come from? You get to travel to England and see some beautiful countryside and cityscapes. There's a super fun musical soundtrack. And the fourth wall is broken on occasion and always made me laugh. And so, in case you don't know what that is, the fourth wall is that imaginary wall that exists between and separates the characters of a movie and the audience. And so a few times a character will look straight at the audience and say or do something. And it just makes me laugh. I don't know why. There are also some very playful jabs at the British and the Americans and the Germans. The movie itself is totally adorable. I just really enjoyed it. There's also tons of foreshadowing. So let your kids watch the movie first to just enjoy the goofy journey. Then talk about that literary device of foreshadowing and how it's used in this film, and have them then watch the movie again and see if they can spot those moments. They're definitely going to want to watch the movie again anyway. If you, especially if you buy the DVD, take a few minutes and really talk about some of the elements in the storytelling. Now, with all of that great praise, there were some things that I didn't like or thought could have been done better, but really only a couple. First of all, I had a really hard time coming up with anything I didn't like about the movie because I really did enjoy it. I think that kids and adults are really going to get a kick out of this fun family flick. There was a really noticeable moment of bad CGI when Mr. Thomas McGregor rolled down a hill, and it was so ridiculous and looked obviously like he was on a green screen, but because it was so ridiculous, it kind of made it more funny and still made me laugh. Ultimately, it helps to have seen the first Peter Rabbit because it has the same characters and actors, although this one adds some new ones. But you can still enjoy it without having heard all of the earlier story. It makes more sense, and you'll appreciate the characters and the character development a little bit more. And there's not a ton of character development, but a little bit for a few of the characters in the movie. All right, let me give you some tips for parents. First of all, your kids are probably going to want to buy a pet rabbit after they watch this and probably put clothes on it. There's a lot of destruction of property. So talk to your kids about that, but also about stealing. Their rabbits have several conversations about the definition of appropriate theft. When is it right and wrong to steal? Is it ever right to steal? Anyway, watch the movie and you'll know what I'm talking about. But talk to your kids about that, and also talk to them about reputations that they might have earned up to this point in their young lives and how they perceive themselves versus how other people might perceive them. Anyway, I think that you can have some really good conversations about that. So let me point out some additional themes that I think would be great fodder for future conversations with your kids. First of all, the importance of family and also the definition of family. It's not always just who you're born to, it's who you live with or the community that you build around you. As I mentioned, reputation, individualism, corporate greed, and commercialism. And so talk to your kids about that. Betrayal and trust, acceptance, praise, and criticism. So I always write down funny lines and interesting lines while I'm watching movies, basically so I can share them with you so you can get a feel for the movie. So I write all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So if you want to see all of them, you can go over there. I'll share just a couple of them with you right now. So Nigel Basil Jones, played by David Oyelowo, says, "No greater love than the gift of a rabbit." And I thought that that was really cute. And then at one point, there's lots of crazy mayhem happening. And Peter Rabbit, who's voiced by James Corden, says, "Great at cartoon violence." So that's one moment of the fourth wall kind of breaking. And then some interesting lines are one spoken by Mr. Thomas McGregor, played by Donald Gleason. And he says, "You're not stupid. You're young and you make mistakes. We all make mistakes." And I thought that that was really a kind thing for him to say. He and Peter Rabbit have a relationship evolution between the first movie and throughout this movie that I think is very charming and very realistic, and one that your family will probably be able to relate to. And then the ultimate message of the movie, which is important when your kids are going to be watching this, is spoken by Peter Rabbit, again, voiced by James Corden. And he says, "I know now that no one can tell me who I am." So, again, talk to your kids about it's up to them who they want to be, and that it's a choice, and that that choice is made by all of the little decisions that they make throughout the day, and that the quality of those decisions will determine the quality of their life. All right, there are more quotes, so run over there and check those out on my website. So it's probably not a big surprise, but the movie review mom grade I'm giving this film is an A. I just thought it was super sweet, and those fuzzy rabbits are totally adorable and charming. All right, so before we go, let me give you a recommendation for a couple of other movies that I think that you'll really enjoy. First of all, the first one, Peter Rabbit, if you haven't seen it, just you can kind of catch up to speed on the story. And then another Disney movie that I thought was just so charming and elegant and magical is Cinderella with Lily James. I'm not sure why I thought of that with this movie, but just that there's animals, talking animals, and that kind of stuff involved. And it's got just the element of charm and wit to it. And then another movie that feels similar, although I like this franchise better, is Paddington, as in the Paddington Bear books. So check those out if you haven't seen any of those. I hope that if you watch this movie that you love it as much as I did. Thanks for supporting me here on my channel by simply subscribing and commenting down below and liking the video. And if you get a minute, run over to my Facebook group called Movie Review Mom. What did you think it was going to be called? And you can also find me on Instagram at Movie Review Mom. So run over there, join those groups, because I often have contests and prizes and all kinds of stuff that I forget to talk about during the movie reviews. So I'd love to see you there. All right, I will catch you in the next one. And until then, bye for now.